in 10,000. Thank you. 1 in 10,000 children 30 years ago to 1 in 68 children, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And whereas autism affects each individual in a different way, ranging from very mild to severe, and knows no racial, ethnic, or social boundaries. Research shows that with early intervention and specialized therapies, individuals with ADS can make significant improvements. And whereas nearly a quarter century ago, the Society launched a nationwide effort to promote autism awareness, inclusive and self-determination for all, assure that each person with ASD is provided the opportunity to achieve the highest possible quality of life. Now we want to go simple, promote autism awareness to encourage our friends, collaborators, to become partners in a movement toward acceptance and appreciation of the disease. Now, therefore, Tom Reed, by the power vested in me as the mayor of this fine city of Pearland, Texas, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2018 as Autism Awareness Month in Pearland, and I ask all citizens, both near and far, to join with me as we support those living with this particular disorder, their families and friends, and thank those that continue to work toward advancing awareness and treatment, and encourage all who are affected by this developmental disability. And given on my hand the seal of office this 23rd day of April 2018. And it was signed by, with a great deal of pleasure, by Tom Reed, the mayor. And I'd like to not only recognize the words in the proclamation, but ask for some comments from perhaps you.
Absolutely. Thank you. My name is Carrie Capers. I am the Assistant Director of the City of Pearland's Parks and Recreation Department. And as the mayor mentioned in the proclamation, that individuals with autism very frequently do need a lot of community and specialized support, as well as support for their entire families. The City of Pearland's Parks and Recreation Department has an adaptive recreation program, and our goal is to provide that support to provide recreational and social activities to individuals with disabilities, including those with autism, and also to develop partnerships throughout the community to help meet the needs that we are unable to meet ourselves as an individual organization. So here joining us this evening is Man to Man. Frederick Jefferson was the founder of Man to Man. They are here to receive the proclamation this evening. They reach out and help provide needs that individuals with autism as well as individuals with disabilities are seeking for. Just recently during Hurricane Harvey, Man to Man reached out and they provided service kits to individuals and families with disabilities, and they worked with the Houston Autism Resource and Support along with out-of-state supporters to create various local field offices to help families and to start a command center in Houston. So I want to recognize Man to Man for everything that they do for our community, and also Araceli Cerda. Araceli is our adaptive recreation programmer and is the lead in developing all these community partnerships. So thank you very much. Would you like to make a comment this evening?
Thank you so much for this honor. With autism and Man to Man, you hear social, but what we strive for is a meaningful life and existence. We're working with Pearland, St. Andrew's Episcopal Church, and the Better Business Bureau, and others to get these kids something they can do when they age out of school, something meaningful, not to be pushed in a corner. We're going to target some of the growth in Pearland and ask them, give them a trail, give them a trait, something they can do, a meaningful job, whether it's shredding, whether it's running this file to that one. We don't want them to just sit in a house. We want them to have a meaningful life. And with the great support of the mayor and the recreation center, we're far on the way to achieving that goal. So thank you.
Thank you. Now, this proclamation is also supported by our city council members here. And each one of them has had the opportunity to look at this, and they concur with us in its entirety, and we appreciate their support on that. I'd like to do a proclamation photograph. I said I didn't ask you all to come down and do this because you haven't had a chance to see the proclamation. These can go through the big words. I'll just keep on going. We are very fortunate also to have a proclamation for public service recognition of our wonderful, wonderful employees and those who support us in the public works area. Are there any members of the Public Works Department that represent that group would come down? I'd be happy to present this. How about that? Good. This is a proclamation also from the Office of the Mayor, City of Pearland, whereas American citizens are served each day by public servants at the federal, state, county, and city level by public employees who take their jobs and their oaths of office seriously as they keep our nation working efficiently. And whereas many public servants, including military personnel, police officers, firefighters, border patrol officers, embassy employees, healthcare professionals, and others risk their life each day in service to the people of the United States and those around the world. And whereas public service of the servants include teachers, doctors, scientists, train conductors, astronauts, nurses, safety inspectors, laborers, computer technicians, and social workers, and countless other occupations that provide the diverse service to serve a city, state, and nation. And whereas our public servants are to be recognized for the quality of work that they provide at all levels of service and contribution for our citizens and for our nation that has contributed to our quality of life. Now, therefore, I, Tom Reed, by the power vested in me as the mayor of this fine city of Pearland, Texas, do hereby proclaim the May 6 to 12, 2018 as Public Service Recognition Week in Pearland. And I ask all citizens, both near and far, to join with me in recognizing the outstanding work, accomplishments, and contributions of the City of Pearland employees who work each day to make our city a place people want to live, work, and play. And to give under my hand and seal of office this 23rd day of April, 2018. And I'd like to ask you to make a few comments in that regard, and we'll take a picture when you get through.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Michelle Graham, and I'm the director of the HR department. And we want to take this opportunity. There are a variety of opportunities throughout the year where our different employee groups can be recognized. But for the last 2 years, we've wanted to take the opportunity to, as a whole, recognize what our public servants do for us. This is recognized throughout the nation and at statewide organizations, but your local government officials are who impact your life mostly. So we want to take the opportunity to thank them and recognize all of our public officials. Some of them are more easily identified. Some of them wear a badge and carry a gun. Some of them drive in large red vehicles with sirens. But there are many, many more who are sometimes in a pothole, fixing a pothole, they're in a water well, they're fixing something somebody else broke and ran over on the road. And many of them are behind the desk processing invoices, making sure that plans are done and that permits are approved. There are a variety of things that happen within public service employment, and we want to make sure to thank all of them The City of Pearland has over 700 employees, and as would be expected, our general fund is about 71% of our employees. We provide a service. We don't build widgets. We provide a service. So we want to take the opportunity, and we have a group called Pearland Cares that is responsible for coordinating a variety of events throughout the week to make sure that we highlight our public service employees and thank them for what they do and show appreciation. So want to encourage not only our other employees, but our council and our mayor as well to take that week during May 6th through 12th and recognize and thank your public service employees for what they do all year round.
I appreciate that. And you know, our city council are public servants, and they endorse this particular proclamation, and I appreciate your support on that and recognize your service through also to Pearland. Why don't we take a picture? For some reason, we're running a little ahead of schedule. Well, why don't we go ahead for the next proclamation? This is the first time we've had three in one night, and I think it's kind of special that we do that. This one is for Mental Health Month. Is there anyone here for Mental Health Month? Some people coming in. Any of you for Mental Health Month? Huh? Please come down. I'm ready to present a proclamation in your behalf. And thank you for being here. Mental health matters. Sure does. Hey! What we're going to do is I'll give a proclamation, and we'll ask for some comments from one of you, and then have a picture taken.
Awesome. Thank you.
You can turn that around while we talk, I guess. What does it say? We believe mental health matters. It sure does. Good. Well, let me present the proclamation supporting that. And sometimes our city council, certain types of agenda items, we wonder if we still can walk up with mental health because of the complexities of some of the things that we have to deal with. I see we're already choosing sides up there, so that's good. We have a proclamation to the Office of the Mayor, City of Pearland. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's health and well-being, and all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, which I'm sure we all do. And whereas good mental health helps us face difficulty and stress in our lives, with 1 in 4 adults experiencing mental health problems, with 1/2 of chronic mental health illnesses beginning by the age of 14. I was not aware of that. And whereas mental health illnesses adversely affect one's ability to adapt and is often life-threatening in nature, with prevention being an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions. And whereas businesses, schools, government agencies, healthcare providers, and citizens share the burden of mental health problems, and with early and effective treatment, these individuals in mental health conditions can recover and lead productive lives. Now, therefore, I time read by the power vested in me as the mayor of this fine city of Pearland, Texas, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Mental Health Month in Pearland, and I ask all citizens, both near and far, to join with me as we proclaim the month of May 2018 as Mental Health Awareness Month, to promote public understanding of the importance of mental health, the signs and steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions. And I signed this under my hand and seal the 23rd day of April, and was signed it as your maritime read. And I'd like to ask one of you to make a few comments in this regard. Good, appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'll hold that for you.
Okay, you want to hold that? Do I need that? Okay, thank you so much for your time, and thank y'all for showing us the honor to be able to do this. Mental health is absolutely critical, and we are really pushing to break the stigma and build awareness that it affects everyone, regardless of their age, regardless of where they come from, their backgrounds. We're all affected. It's a physiological issue, and its brain components are relevant to health and wellness for our whole community. So we appreciate your time this evening, and thank you.
I appreciate all of you being here. I think it's a very important affliction that a number of people in our community and the nation has. So we need people to highlight it and work on it. And that particular, I believe, mental health matters. Why don't y'all kind of snuggle up here a little bit? We get them all in? Okay, good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think that's very special. We'll be starting our city council meeting in just a few minutes, so if you'll have a moment to move around a little bit, and I'll holler at you when we get ready to start.
My daughter goes to school right here, so I dropped her off at 7. I figured if I didn't wait, then I'd get off to doing something, and I wouldn't. Mad because he was third. Yeah. Right on my radar. I gotta be good. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me open a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Pearland for Monday, April the 23rd, year 2018. If you'll please rise, we'll have an invocation tonight by Councilmember Woody Owens, and our Assistant Police Chief Fraser will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right. Bow your heads with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, Lord, we thank you for the many things that you've done for us here as residents of Pearland. Pray, Lord, that you'll be with all of our first responders here locally and all of our military, either serving in the States or abroad, to be with them and be with their loved ones while they're gone, Lord, and watch over and protect them. We pray, Lord, that you give us the knowledge and the wisdom to make the right decisions for all the residents of Pearland. We ask this blessing in your name. Amen.
This is to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You know, one of the things that our city council and our community has perpetuated is that we still give invocations before we start a meeting, and we also salute our flags, American and Texas flags. And I think that is something that we will always continue as a city. Moving in our agenda, and incidentally, I have an agenda. I think it may be some on the table out in the lobby, but the Item 3 on our agenda calls for a roll call, and all of our council are here except for Councilmember Reed, who is will be absent from the chamber during the entire meeting. And we're here with bright and shiny faces. Moving in our agenda to item number 4, which is citizen comments. Some of you wish to make some comments, and you have filled out one of these forms. If you intend to be a presenter of comments before the council and have not filled out this form, there are some here that you need to fill out at your earliest convenience. So the first one on our Yen Rabi. Yen Rabi, there she is. Thank you so much for being here. Podium's right here. You might have to move it down to mouth level. Thank you for being here. Thank you. And remember that be sure and give us your name and address, and try to limit it to about 3 minutes if you could.
I'm speaking in behalf of my organization, so can I have 5 minutes?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Good evening. My name is Yen Rabe. My address is 9602 Sage Deck Lane, Houston, Texas. I am the Houston area chapter leader of the national organization Start School Later. We are a nonprofit organization working to increase public awareness of chronic teen sleep deprivation. I am also an educator at a high school that starts at 7:15. According to reports from the cities, from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, when school starts this early, 90% of high school students do not get adequate sleep starting at 7:15 in the morning. I see firsthand the effects of teen sleep deprivation. What are the effects of chronic teen sleep deprivation? More automobile accidents, sports injuries, school-based violence, increased depression, suicidal ideation, substance abuse, poor academic performance, more risk-taking, risk of chronic disease such as obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Many students stay out late. Students who work after school, most in fast food establishments and grocery stores, get off at 10 p.m. to as late as 2 a.m. in the morning. Then there are students who go to the gym to work out in the evening and stay late. Because high school start at 7:15, students get only 3 to 7 hours of sleep per night. Teenagers need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Students who do not work or go to the gym are also sleep deprived. If students need more sleep, then they should turn off their electronic devices and go to sleep early, say adults. But many teens simply cannot fall asleep before 11 p.m. due to shifted circadian rhythms, otherwise known as body clocks, during puberty. Thus, it is not a matter of will or parenting, but a matter of biology. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that middle and high schools start no earlier than 8:30 so that students can get an adequate sleep. Numerous school districts in Texas do start school later. The problem is that this is not the case for Pearland ISD. Houston ISD high schools and middle schools will start at 8:30 next year. Friendswood and Deer Park ISDs already start at 8:45. Today, I am here to ask that law enforcement officers of the City of Pearland to please enforce the curfew for our teens in order to not exacerbate the deprivation of sleep for our teens. And if Mayor Reed and councilmen can communicate with local businesses, especially those that stay open late, to let students off of work by 9 p.m. Furthermore, I am requesting assistance of Mayor Reed and all city council members to spread a public service message to the City of Pearland community to bring awareness of teen sleep needs so that citizens can be informed. Pearland ISD has come out with a survey to ask parents, teachers, and students whether they want to start high school later, rather than gather information about why it should start later. Starting school later for high school is not a popular idea because people do not like change. My message is that starting school later is not a popularity vote, but a public health issue and should be treated as one. If there were lead in the drinking water or asbestos in the ceiling tiles, and they have been recommended to be removed, will we ask for a public opinion on that? Popularity surveys are used to justify inaction. This can result in dividing the community rather than educating them on what the problem is. Adolescent sleep deprivation, and how it is affecting the middle and high school experience, as well as the trajectory of students' lives. Rather, the city, school district, community organizations, businesses, and citizens should work together to seriously consider starting school later for our students' health, education, and safety. According to the recent RAND Corporation study of starting school later, it projects an economic gain of $8.6 million to the U.S. economy, $3.3 billion into the Texas economy in 10 years. This would already outweigh the costs per student from delaying high school and middle school start times to 8:30. Throughout the study's cost-benefit projections, a conservative approach was undertaken, which did not include other effects from insufficient sleep, such as higher suicide rates, increased obesity, and mental health issues, all of which are difficult to quantify precisely. Therefore, it is likely that the reported economic benefits from delaying school start times could be even higher across many U.S. states. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate those comments so much. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
We also have a request from the Pearland Chamber of Commerce, Melissa Washington. Thank you for being here tonight.
Lift it up. Yes, I'm Melissa Washington, 2903 Amber Hill Trail, and I do have the pleasure of working at the Pearland Chamber, and I wanted to thank you guys, Mayor and City Council, for all of your continued support of the Chamber. I wanted to also be here tonight to thank all of the candidates who participated in our candidate forum on April 12th, and all the citizens who came out to become more informed voters. It's the voter apathy in this city is not exactly commendable, so we're going to try to change that one voter at a time by educating them on the topics at hand. I'd also like to invite the U.S. City Council and the mayor and the public to the upcoming PISD I Will Ask event. It's April 26th at Pearland High School Searcy campus, to be followed up by the Chamber's May Luncheon, which also will address suicide prevention. It will be held, our speaker is Ryan Hill. It will be at Golf Crest, and further details can be found at the Pearland Chamber website. Thank you for your time.
Good. I appreciate that update on those. And you're right about the voting. Everybody needs to get out and vote because you don't like the results and you didn't vote, no problem. We also have a request from Boy Scout Spaghetti Supper, young Scouter Randolph and a young Scouter Brody Christie. Would you all please come forward to the podium? And thank you for being here. understand these young men are working on their Eagle Badge, and that's very commendable for young people, young men and women here. And
Hello, everyone. I'm a Boy Scout from Troop 4 and 4, and I'm here to inform you all about the spaghetti dinner that we will be holding in early May. Currently, we are selling spaghetti dinner tickets for our annual fundraiser, $5 a ticket. That includes spaghetti, garlic bread, salad, and a drink. If you can't stay for our live and silent auction, door prizes, dessert, or entertainment, please stop in and pick up your spaghetti dinner meal to go to the dinner ticket, to go with the dinner ticket you purchased today. We will be out in the lobby selling tickets. Thank you for your time. And now, my friend Rain will be talking about the Boy Scout program.
Hello, I am also with Troop 414, and
give us your name, too, so we can know who you are.
I am Rain Randolph.
Okay.
So, it is the purpose of Boy Scouts of America to provide an effective program designed to instill within the youth desirable qualities of character, citizenship, character, to train them in responsibilities of participating citizenship, and to help develop their personal fitness, providing this country with citizens who are physically, mentally, and emotionally fit, have a high degree of self-reliance, as evidenced in such qualities as initiative, courage, and resourcefulness, have personal and stable values firmly based on religious concepts, have the desire and skill to help others understand the principles of an American social, economic, and government systems, are knowledgeable about the and take pride in American heritage and understand America's role in the world, have a keen respect for the basic rights of all American people, are prepared to fulfill the varied responsibilities of participating in and giving leadership to American society, and have other forums of the world.
Good. Does that complete your report? Good. Does that complete your report?
Yes.
Good. Thank you so much for presenting that to us.
Thank you.
And I think it's important that you do support our young men and women in scouting. These young men are working toward the Eagle Scout, and women is the Gold Star. And we have some Gold Star women in our community, and some quite a number of Eagle Scouts. And it's scouting movement in Pearland is alive and well and operating well. And these spaghetti dinners help out a lot, and some of the other things that they do. If you can support them in any way, that's time and money well spent, I'll guarantee you. In our agenda, let's move down to item 5, which is public hearings. So we don't have one tonight. Item 6 is consent agenda. I would like to ask Councilmember Carbone if he'll present the consent agenda, which runs from item A through L.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull item E, Echo. Pull item Echo from the consent.
Well, item L.
E.
E?
E.
Easy?
Easy, yes, sir.
Okay. All these sound alike in the alphabet, you know. Easy, and is that all? Okay.
Mayor, I'd like to pull item J.
Okay, let me pull J here. Items E and J, any other items, Councilman?
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration and possible action, approval of consent agenda items A through L with the exception of E and J. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We're in any discussion before the council? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, we do have motion second on the floor.
Councilmember Carbone,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Ordino,
Aye.
Councilmember Little, Councilmember Perez,
Aye.
Councilmember Owens.
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Okay. Moving to item number E.
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration and possible action, Resolution R 2018-77. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We're in discussion. And last for staff report.
Thanks, sir. This is a item that we bid out. We use stabilized materials, base materials in our road constructions and repairs. And so this allows us to acquire those as the year goes on, recommending that in the scheme of things are a small contract with cherry crushed concretes for $55,000 for next year.
Just a bit of history on this. And back in the late middle 1990s, somewhere around 97 to 99, most of our roads were crushed concrete. And that's about the only way we could get some quality service on getting people to the house from 518 or some of the other roadways. So I thought it's kind of interesting. They're coming back together with us. So, well, any question or comment from council at this point? Councilman?
Yes, Mayor, just kind of clarification, just to get my mind wrapped around what we're purchasing and why. So we're looking at projects that we're doing the replacement of the pipe, or we're doing the roadway construction, and we just want to be able independently buy the base material for those projects. This is outside of any contracts that we have with any associated with any project.
Councilman Perez, that is correct. It's also for our interlocal that we also have with the county, where we then go and do the base repairs in our streets, and then they come and do the mill and fill overlay as well. So this is our preparation for that.
Is that the largest volume of use of this material? Is for the overlay?
Some, and then it's also internal when we do our own repairs in-house as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comment from council? Councilman Perez, any further comment? Okay. Hearing none, we have a motion second on the floor, Mr. Secretary.
Councilmember Carbone,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Ordino,
Aye.
Councilmember Little, Councilmember Perez,
Aye.
Councilmember Owens.
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Moving in our agenda to item J, ask Councilman Carbone.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. Consideration and possible action, Resolution R 2018-70. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We're in discussions. Staff report.
Thanks, sir. This is a planned development and expansion of a cemetery property that's existed in town. You saw this at your JPH and was reviewed by the P&Z.
Wrong item.
Oh, sorry. Jay. Okay, we'll do that one too. So this is an award. We obviously acquire various uniform materials from the fire department. We bid this out. Got a number of bidders. We have other contracts that are less than $50,000, but this one exceeds the $50,000 threshold. And based upon the quantities and the amounts that we saw, we are recommending award from the review committee and our staff to Galls for the $73,000.
Okay. Council have any question or comment on it? Councilman Carbone?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. In reviewing the agenda packet, it looks like we've had issues with this vendor in the past. How are we comfortable that they're going to be able to perform now?
Sure. So, Mr. Pierce, we've checked that out and can address that.
Yes, sir. Mayor, Council, we did have an issue with Galls in the past. The fire department had an issue with Galls in the past on their performance on dress uniforms, and they were servicing that from their location across town. They have in recent months, acquired Miller uniforms just over on the Beltway. So they do have a local storefront now. So we think they'll be able to properly address the performance issues that we experienced before.
Okay. Is that store in Pearland?
I think it's just outside. It is outside.
All right, so no sales tax?
No, sir.
No. Okay. I guess the other question I had, in looking at the bid tabulation, most of the items, to the best I could tell, what was highlighted in yellow was the low bid.
Yes, sir.
But when we got into some of the line items, say 9 through 18, there was a different low bidder that wasn't highlighted. So I guess the question is there some reason for that change? And then also, have we looked about splitting this out to save anything?
Yes, sir. We did look at splitting those particular items, and so the items where splitting the bid award would have been might have been a consideration. It was primarily differentiated between dress coats and dress pants, with galls being substantially lower on dress coats and Cop Stop local vendor marginally lower on the pants. We discussed that with fire department management, and it's not desirable basically at all for the fire department to get a single pant and coat from two different vendors, because they'll come off different fabric reams, and you will get some differentiation in color. And since they're dress uniforms, that was not desirable.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
That completes. Any other comment?
That's all, Mayor.
Good. Does the council have any further comment on this item? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, we do have motion second on the floor for item J.
Councilmember Carbone?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Ordino?
Aye.
Councilmember Little? Aye. Councilmember Perez?
Aye.
Councilmember Owens?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Okay. That completes our consent agenda portion of our agenda. Moving to item 7 on our agenda, matters removed from consent agenda, which we just did and completed those. Moving to item number 8, new business. Councilmember Moore, would you present this for our consideration?
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration, possible action, first reading of ordinance number 2000M-170. So moved.
We have a motion and a second. We're in discussion. Staff report.
Thanks, sir. So this is a plan development amendment for existing cemetery and for them to expand. This was discussed, as I mentioned, at the JPH and the P&Z. They did ask some questions and got some answers and come to you for a positive recommendation tonight for the plan development change.
Council have any question or comment on that item?
Yes, Mayor. In the second meeting of planning and zoning, there's a note in here, so the motion to amend that passed 7-0 to include staff's recommendations 1 through 4. Can I get some clarification on which of those changes that staff recommended are included?
So that included some landscaping against Cullen Boulevard. Cullen would be corridor overlay district, so it would normally require a 30-foot landscape strip. P&Z and staff recommended shortening that down to 15 foot, just so that it wouldn't infringe on any space that would be dedicated for burials.
And the other three items?
That was the big change out of the 4.
What were
the other recommendations were just general things like it meets the future land use plan, or that it meets the comprehensive plan, things of that nature.
Okay. That's it, Mayor.
No further comment? Okay. Council have any comment of any sort at this point? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, we do have motion second on the floor. Item.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Ordino?
Aye.
Councilmember Little? Councilmember Perez?
Aye.
Councilmember Owens?
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Moving in our agenda to item number 2, new business item number 2, Councilman Bardino.
Consideration and possible action, first reading of ordinance number 1559. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We're in discussion. Staff report.
So we've got obviously a food health inspection program in the city. Our legal department's been working with us and updating and modernizing the ordinance requirements, harmonizing them with state law. From a consumer perspective, one of the things that I think people will be happy to see is that there is a requirement going forward that the grade be posted as part of the inspection. Those will be passing grades, obviously. Otherwise, they'll been addressed beforehand. So you see that in other cities, but we start to see that. That'll be the visible thing. But the rest of it is getting us in line with state law and other requirements and cleaning up the existing ordinance.
Okay. Council, have any question or comment on this item?
Yes, Mayor. I have a
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just question on item D of the local amendments. So I presume right now we do not allow animals in the restaurant, and we're allowing for them to elect to have animals in the restaurant. Can kind of have a better understanding of why we're going down that path?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Yes, we are. We've been asked on many occasions to allow for pets to be at certain food establishments. Ultimately, we'd like it to be the food establishments, basically for them to be able to say whether or not they want, but the pets at the restaurant. A lot of places have outdoor seating, and a lot of places in Houston also allow for dogs to be brought to like outside patio seating and such. So it's something that we thought about moving forward to allow for the restaurants to make that choice, but they would have to post it and let us know as well.
Would they be considered comfort animals, as I think the terminology is?
They don't necessarily have to be registered pets.
Okay.
So, and we're only looking at dogs at this point.
So would that require staff to review and approve, or they would just have to post notification, and then when we do our regular inspections, if we've seen the dogs are allowed there, we see that we have to we'll check and see that there's something posted that says that dogs are allowed?
Yes, we are asking that the food establishments let us know ahead of time that they're wanting to do that, so that they would register with us and let us know that they are a food establishment that allows pets at their business. They also would have to post it in plain view.
But would they require any paperwork from us to allow
No,
it?
sir.
So we're
No
just
paperwork.
asking them, but we're not requiring them?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other comment or questions? Hearing none, we do have motion second on the floor, Mr. Secretary.
Councilmember Ordino.
Aye.
Councilmember Little. Councilmember Perez.
Aye.
Councilmember Owens.
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone.
Aye.
Councilmember Moore.
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
I think it'd be appropriate for me to take a moment to tell you we're still under construction as a facility. And the first part of the month, I believe the last council meeting of last month, I believe, we did not have the blinds up, and that was when we had a sun at the council meeting time frame. We have not had any sun at the council meeting time frame since then. So this is the first night after that. So you can appreciate the screens that we put up. I think you can see outside, but it does reflect the sun. So I think it's very appropriate. Matter of fact, we made the comment that if you had wind up a sunburn, you can tell everybody you were down at the beach in Cancun doing spring break, along with the rest of the kids. So we're also moving several of our other departments into the facility as those sections are completed. We want to make sure we get in and start working here as soon as possible. Moving in our agenda to item number 3, which is Councilmember Little.
Mayor. Consideration of possible action, second and final reading of ordinance number 2000T-27, so moved.
Second.
We have a second? We have a second? Okay. We have a motion and a second. We're in discussion. Staff report.
So we've had a few different updates to the UDC kicking around, and council's discussed these. We are going to bring back some modifications independently on tree mitigation, but the balance of the code changes and updates you see have been what council discussed up to now.
Any question or comment from council?
Just one, Mayor. When do we expect that we'll have some recommendations with respect to the tree ordinance back before us?
John's not here, but I believe he talked about in August kind of timeframe. So.
Okay.
Any other question or comment? Hearing none, we do have motion second on the floor, Mr. Secretary.
Councilmember Little,
Aye.
Councilmember Perez,
Aye.
Councilmember Owens,
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Ordino.
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Moving to new business item 4. Councilmember Perez, would you present this for our consideration?
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration possible action, resolution number R 2018-76. So moved.
Second.
What was your comment? I'm sorry, I was listening.
We got a second.
We got a motion second. Okay, we're in discussion. Staff report.
So this is a renewal of a contract for cleaning services. We've been outsourcing this for several years. Had A&A Cleaning perform that and doing that adequately, and recommend a third and I believe final renewal. The only change would be we added a future fire station into the package here.
Good. Council, any question or comment on this item?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just some clarification, I guess, on some of them. We give a local bid preference for a firm that bids something, that's located in the city. And what I was wanting to find out is that information listed in the RFP when it goes out for bids.
You mean the availability of that? It's all on the webpage, I know for a fact, because I've seen the form there, and that's all part of the materials. So I would think most bidders know that. Do you also list it again in the?
Yes, sir.
They do.
They are posted in the bid specifications as well.
Okay, so they know. So really, somebody that was going to bid something, if they go get an executive suite somewhere in Pearland, they could actually fill out that form and be considered for the 5%.
Ostensibly, yes, sir.
That was one of my main concerns on there, and I remember this from when it took place a few years ago on there, and so.
I mean, we do ask for a certifying signature on the form itself, just basically stating that all the information herein is true and correct to their knowledge.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that. I think that we went through this several years ago in order to do that, and I think, really we should do more to look at local businesses here in the Pearland area to have some kind of leadway.
Yes, sir, and we do on every bid notice that we generate, we send a notice to the Chamber of Commerce and ask that they, push that out to their members that it would pertain to, just to try to spur that local activity.
Yeah, because when you come in and you take a look at that and the low bid preference on it, actually the low bid and the second low bid on there without the preference is about $36,000 difference in the bid as it was. So, I mean, we're paying $36,000 more on it. And I noticed in the fire stations, it was the second low bid was cleaning a fire station on a quarterly basis was $7,140 versus the low bid as it came out was $35,000 for the 4 locations. So, and I know probably you don't want to hear this, but if there's anything that we would do in order to save the taxpayers money, if we pulled out and let another vendor do that for the $7,000, if they're willing to do that, rather than paying $35,000 for it.
If I could just clarify again, this is a renewal, and we've been implementing what's on the books for a local preference, and they're the number. It's always a balancing act, but the fact is that there's provisions that are there, and we've been applying those. Obviously, there's some latitude, but the percentage is there that's given. And I know for a fact we've shared that out and tried to promote about those local bidders. I should mention, too, the one other change to this is we're awarding the jail cleaning on I believe, a weekly basis, so we can get some extra hands on that. And this all is, I don't know if you're looking at the original bid tab sheet, but my understanding is that there was a firm that was awarded and they did not perform, and so then the city went to A&A, and they have been performing well for us.
That's not saying anything's wrong with A&A and the work they do. Mona and them do a great job. But I'd just like to see us be able to make sure that we put this out, that other firms that are local have an opportunity, and but to buy Pearland. I know that the chamber has always pushed that, but we've never seen it on it. And you could actually do this in such a way that some of your contracts that you have coming out, if they're local on construction contracts, actually go within that parameter too, of the 5% difference in it on there. And not anything that's negotiable as far as engineering fees or anything like that, but on hard bids.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, the state has made it very restrictive, especially in the construction industry, on what we can allow on it. So it kind of constricts us there, but that is a good point. Thank you.
I hope to see more people use that if they want to move to Pearland and they do business with Pearland. I think, especially anything that we do that we sell bonds for, it's a residence of Pearland that pays off those bonds, not somebody from Houston, not somebody from Austin or whatever. It's a residents here that pay off those bonds that are being sold. So I would like to see, more people come into Pearland to do business with us and set up their shop here, to do business. So that was my biggest concern that I had on here, is to make sure that this 5% preference was actually put out in the bid so that people know it. No matter what your bid is, somebody else that's here locally is going to be, if you're the same number, they're going to get it because they're 5% less than what you're going to be. So, okay.
I think the quality of our service has been very visible since we changed our contractor.
A comment, Mayor. Why is the actual contract amount so much more than what we budgeted? It's like the amount we budgeted is $143,000. The contract amount's $325,000.
Councilman Little, it's spread over 2 fiscal years. So it's a calendar year contract for us, but it's spread over 2 fiscal years, FY18, the rest of this year, and then also over in FY19 as well.
Okay.
Budget amount not been approved for next year.
Says it's from April 25th, 2018 to April 24th, 2019.
That's correct. That's the calendar year portion for this contract, but it's spread over the remainder of 2 fiscal years. So fiscal year 18 will end in September 30th, and then fiscal year 19 will start off on October 1, which will be a new budget year. So you're getting.
So the actual amount budgeted was closer to 343.
So if you take a look at the amount budgeted on the agenda request, it's got the $143,000 for fiscal year 2018. And then pending budget approval for FY19, there would be another $201,250
I got it.
budgeted.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, if I could make one more comment, I would like to thank, since the chamber's here, and our staff. I know the chamber hosts the city. They also host the school district, doing business with your local government to help people understand the benefits. So I just want to say a thank you for those services to help get that word out.
Good. Any other question or comment?
Got one question, Mayor. So we talked a little bit, Mr. Pierce, if I could borrow you for a second. Sorry. You talked a little bit about the state restrictions on certain contracts. Are there state restrictions that forbid us from stating certain contracts are local bidders only?
I'm sorry, could you restate the question?
So if we had a low-value contract and we knew that there were a substantial amount of local bidders that are available to fill the contract, are there any restrictions that you're aware of or could we research to see if there's any contracts that we could say local bidders only?
I'm not sure we could go there. I would defer to Darren on that.
No, I think the statutory bid laws would require us to, of course, to publish the bid and receive those bids, but there's nothing that would allow us to restrict bids to just a local bidders only.
So right now, what we're doing is granting some preference, but not exceeding preference to local bidders is about as much as we can do, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, but I think too, Darren, on some of that, what we're doing on some of our contracts now is best value to the city. And so you don't select the low bid, you'll go to the second or third bid on there because you appear to be the best value for the city.
Yes, and if we do that, of course, obviously, you have to publish that in the bid specifications, that it will be considered on a best value as opposed to a lowest responsible bidder. And then everything has to be weighted. The criteria have to be weighted and evaluated accordingly.
And actually, this bid was based on a best value criteria applied to it.
And I know on some of our contracts that we can't go, local on it. Some of our engineering contracts or construction contracts. But there's no reason why we can't look at it from the point if they got sub-consultants that they could use here within the city to complete design work or what have you, of using those sub-consultants on there. So I'd like to see us use more of people, that in services and things in the city here, since those people live here, they pay taxes. Most of them do live here and pay taxes. They have employees and what have you that live here and pay taxes at the same time. You go in some other cities, and I know that in Harris County, for instance, on Commissioner's Court up there, they'll tell you point blank, if you're going to have the work done outside the city, or if you're not, don't have employees that live in the city, you will not get a contract because they believe that people live in Harris County pay off those bonds. And so that's part of what you'd call the three-legged stool there, to be able to do that. But I'd like to see more, us come up with different ways that we could use more local residents and businesses here in on some of these contracts.
Yes, sir. I'm definitely in the choir on that.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Any other wrap-up comments? Hearing none, we do have a motion second on the floor, Mr. Secretary.
Councilmember Owens?
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Ordino?
Aye.
Councilmember Little?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0 with Councilmember Perez absent from the chambers.
Moving to new business item 5. Councilmember Owens, would you present this for our consideration?
All right. Consideration possible action resolution number R 2018-74. I've so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We're in discussion. Staff report.
So the city's had a very aggressive capital improvement program for roads and facilities, but drainage obviously is on our mind as well. And this project, very pleased moving forward. This is for improvements to the draining system in the Old Town Site area, south of Broadway and east of Main Street, State Highway 35. Some of the projects going to be tying into new development, but a lot of it, the bulk of this work is to mitigate and anticipate future drainage problems in an existing established neighborhood in the city, so along Walnut and what have you. So just under $5 million, contractor SCR done work for the city and performed very well, so recommend your consideration of this tonight.
Council, have any question or comment on this item?
I do, Mayor. So with this, I just want to make sure I understand this. So I know last year and the year before, I brought some issues with the corner of Walnut and Galveston there, where it seems like it floods a lot every time it rains. I know we had somebody go out there, they tried to clean out the line, they looked down the ditch, try to find a way to make that water run off from that property there. So with this project right here, does that include that? Specifically talking about where the electric shop and the hair salon is there on Walnut?
You're correct. if I correct, is the old Warfield Electric area?
Yes.
Yes, we'll be installing new drainage and enclosing that ditch into box culverts and also with inlets that'll take care of that. So it'll be an enclosed system.
Okay.
And that's what we're looking forward to.
I just want to make sure it included that area also.
Yes, it goes all the way to Grand.
Okay.
Where we pick up and then goes towards Walnut, out down Walnut to Old Alvin, then Old Alvin South down to Mary's Creek.
Thank you.
Any other question? Councilman?
Yeah, just one thing, and it's probably not going to go over when I say it. But anyway, if we go to page 3 and we look at the money that we're using there, we got general obligation bonds that we're using 100,000 in 2014, our 2014 series. General obligation bonds 207,000. General obligation bonds in 2017 3.875 million on there. And the thing that bothers me about it, it says at the top it's revenue. Really, it's not revenue. Well, I guess it's just calling by a different name. But those are borrowed funds, what I would term as borrowed funds that we're using. We got to sell the bonds, and that gives you the dollar amount of the obligation that's being sold. And those can be sold without going to the voters to do that. But then if you come in and you look at paying those bonds off at a certain period of time with certain interest, those are not the true dollar amounts we get. So that's just my concern. It's a play on words, and it says revenue, but I think it's under a different thought that you think revenue is money coming in off the tax base, cash money or whatever. But actually it's revenue, but it's borrowed funds. So it's a dollar amount, and then, of course, the interest rate is tagged on that for so many years, how many years we have to sell those bonds and pay it back.
Councilmember Owens, I won't be here next budget, but if you want to take my role and support a tax increase to do some of this, I'd be more than happy to see that happen.
Well, if you do this, you're gonna pay for a tax increase at some time. But you won't have to worry about it after May.
Any other questions or comments from council?
Just to clarify, the voters approved in 2007 drainage funds, and so these are the majority of these that I see. They're all GO bonds issues stemming from that. So, that I guess you can call it revenue. That's just a term of art. I mean, like you said, it's source of revenue. It's money's into the city. I mean, it's just a means of financing. So
Anything comes on the left-hand side is revenue, except when you get to expenditure.
everything on the top is income or source of revenue, and bottom's expenditures. So yeah.
And the other thing about it, if we went to a preference on this, with somebody doing that, if that's what it was, it would be quite a bit of difference between the low bid and the second low bid, about $249,000 too. But anyway, that's fine.
Thank you, Mayor. No real comment on the contract other than to state that this project very much needed in this area. And, I'd like to thank staff for moving this forward. Also encourage staff and encourage us as a council to continue to find these regional detention solutions. Continuing to increase storm sewer and greater requirements of on-site detention for individual developments. It's just an inefficient system. But if we can go in and do these regional programs, I think over time we'll get a lot more effect. So I know as we're planning the master drainage plan, as many of these projects as we can plan and budget for over the next essentially a generation, I think the better the city is going to be, the better prepared we will be for the next Harvey, and the less likely we're going to have another wagon trail where we have areas where there's no place to put on-site detention, areas that are have historical development that's not going to redevelop, and we can find solutions for them as opposed to waiting for the developers to kind of solve our problems for us. So again, thanks staff for pushing this forward, and I hope to see more of these.
Any other question or comment from council? Hearing none, we have motion second on the floor, Mr. Secretary.
Councilmember Owens,
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Ordino?
Aye.
Councilmember Little? Councilmember Perez?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Moving in our agenda to new business item 6, Councilmember Carbone, would you do the honor?
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration and possible action, Resolution R 2018-75. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Discussion, staff report.
So for the $5 million construction project that we just awarded, we're going to need construction management and inspection services, and looked at professional services, recommending that with Arcadis. I want to note, though, that as we mentioned in the memo, we are looking at staffing alternatives. We got so many projects going. We do think it makes sense to, and council, this came up before in another award, we are looking at adding some staffing that would be paid for by the projects. That way we would have dedicated people, our people that would be performing a lot of this work, maybe not necessarily all the testing. But in the meantime, we're still in that process. We need to have help that's available, and so that's what this award is.
I tell you, this is great. Council, have any question or comment on this item?
Well,
One?
just one. I see the representative of the firm sitting out there I've known for about 30 years. And I always chastise him anyway on there that I think one contract we turned down a couple of years, 3 years ago, or put it on a hold because we didn't get an engineer, professional engineer on the job. So, but he was able to come back. So I asked him the question before on this. I see we got the construction manager on the job, but I want to make sure, I've got a great respect for him and what he does out here, Buddy does with construction. So I just want to make sure he's there to oversee it. He is a professional engineer.
I'd like to comment, commend our staff for the progress we're making on drainage. We said we need to go out and find the choke points, and we're doing that. And we just have addressing some of those on the agenda tonight. I think that's impressive. There's not all the choke points out there, but it's some that we can grab right now and work on as we go through a bigger project. So, council, have any further question or comment at this point? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, we've got a motion second on the floor for you.
Councilmember Carbone?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Ordino?
Aye.
Councilmember Little?
Aye.
Councilmember Perez?
Aye.
Councilmember Owens?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Okay. Moving to the next item, item 7 on our agenda. Councilmember Moore, would you do the honor?
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration possible action, resolution number R2018-36. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, we're in discussion. Staff report.
We have 2 on-call maintenance contracts and preventative maintenance work for our air conditioning systems at all the wide variety of city facilities. The main one here is to Lee Thompson for a not to exceed amount as noted here. Also, there's a follow-up at number 8. This is Plan B backup if for some reason Lee weren't to be available. We want to have something in there at the ready. So when we need somebody, we have a contract ready to go that's been priced out and so forth. So that's to Fort Bend. But the first item here that was just read off, that's to Lee Thompson for the services that I mentioned.
Council, have any question or comment on this item? Owens?
Real quick, on your estimates that you're using, I see on this one is total amount of estimate value. Is that based on what you used previous year, or can't hear me? Okay, we'll do it again. When you come up with the estimate on there, what you're doing and the different types of work needs to be done for the maintenance, is that based on what you have used in the previous year, or what could possibly go wrong that you need a maintenance on, or what? How do you come up with that, Robert?
Councilman Owen, we take a look at, and we do, the first one is on preventative maintenance. So we do that 4 times a year, and we'll take a look from there. And in that bid also, we provide for hours associated with emergency repairs that are call outs. So those are what we've historically tried to use and have on hand. and then also has a line item for parts and repairs. So there's a markup associated with that. So when we find out an issue that's happened, then we can get the value of the parts and then the markup associated with that. So that's what this contract encompasses. So it's preventative maintenance, and then it's also a number of hours that we've seen in the past.
Okay, so this is really a not to exceed number.
Yes, sir.
Any questions or comment from council?
Is the vendor here?
Oh, I'm sorry, I stand corrected.
Good. Just checking. Any question or comment? Here, now we do have a motion second on the floor, Mr. Secretary.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Ordino?
Aye.
Councilmember Little?
Aye.
Councilmember Perez?
Aye.
Councilmember Owens?
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Moving in our agenda to new business item number 8. Councilmember Ordino, would you do the honor?
Consideration and possible action resolution number R 2018-61. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Staff report.
As mentioned, same services, just our backup contractor. So that's it for this one.
Okay. Council have any question or comment on that item? This acts as a backup. Is that your consideration on this? Council have any question or comment? We have none on the floor. We have motion second on the floor. Mr. Secretary?
Councilmember Ordino?
Aye.
Councilmember Little?
Aye.
Councilmember Perez?
Aye.
Councilmember Owens?
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Moving in our agenda to new business item number 9, Councilmember Little.
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration and possible action resolution number R 2018-40. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Staff report.
So the city obviously has needs of pretty complex electrical services at all times of the day and year. Some of this is scheduled, others not. For water, wastewater operations, need to have a firm that's available for that. Worked with Boyer in the past and recommending approval for putting them on call and for these services for the upcoming year. And again, this does cross fiscal years.
Council have any question or comment on that item? Councilmember Owens?
Well, I've just got one on here, is that the Boyer was, when they were reviewed by the staff, they had a 72.19. DM electrical and construction was 82.25. What was the reason for that, Robert?
Councilman, if you'll remember in, I believe it was in January, council approved an award based on staff recommendation to DM Electrical. There is a requirement in the bid specifications for the provision of performance and payment bonds in the amount of $100,000 to cover outstanding work at any given point in time. They agreed to provide those by virtue of their bid submission. When push came to shove after the award, probably 30 days out, and staff was working with them, trying to work with their financial backers to provide the required bid bonds. And they acknowledged at about 30 days out that they would be unable to provide the bonds. So at that point, we terminated the agreement with them in-house to make a secondary recommendation or a subsequent recommendation for award. And that's what you see tonight. And it was to the next highest ranked bidder, and also one that we've previously used to a high level of satisfaction.
Yeah, I think their response time was a lot quicker on an emergency basis too.
Very quick.
But that's good. that's good. I just want to find out the justification on it, and,
Yes, sir.
and you did the right thing.
Any other comment or questions? We do have a motion and a second on the floor, Mr. Secretary.
Councilmember Little? Aye. Councilmember Perez?
Aye.
Councilmember Owens?
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Ordino?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Moving in our agenda to new business item number 10, Councilmember Perez.
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration possible action, resolution number R 2018-78. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. We're in discussion. Staff report.
Thank you. We have a wind insurance that is coming, expiration of the current policy. So we went out and reviewed a variety of proposals, had consultants help in that review. We are also adding in, as was discussed in the AR, the wind-driven, not driver, rain insurance. And so for the money, obviously that coverage is, we think, money well spent. And that our current policies expire shortly, so we want to be in a position to obviously have that in force for all our facilities. And we've gone through and tried to inventory all the existing facilities and additions and so forth, so we're all covered up for the year upcoming.
Council have any question or comment on that comment?
Just one question. So, Missouri County, it's mandatory that we have the wind insurance, but I think we have one facility that's in Harris County. I think at least the CSI building. I can't think of another one. Are we insuring that building as well under this policy, or are we only doing what's mandatory by the state?
Michelle, you got to turn the mic on.
Yes, that is included in this information.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question or comment? Hearing none, we do have a motion second on the floor, Mr. Secretary.
Councilmember Perez?
Aye.
Councilmember Owens?
Aye.
Councilmember Carbone?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Ordino?
Aye.
Councilmember Little?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
Moving in our agenda to new business item 11, Councilmember Owens, would you do the honor?
Consideration possible action, resolution number R 2018-81. I so move.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. We're in discussion. Staff report.
So this action's consideration, there was a piece of property that council may recall came up on tax sale, and a party wanted to purchase it for a very low price. We do believe that there is potential for future improvements in the area and projects, and for the money involved, ask for a consideration to reject that proposal, and instead we'd like to see consideration for basically paying the back taxes a little bit more maybe to secure that property. This is off of Wagon Trail there, a small piece of property that had gone into foreclosure.
Council have any question or comment on this item?
Mayor, I'm just going to say that I don't agree with us taking possession of this property. I do think that there may be a benefit to it. I just don't think that, I think there's a bridge too far as how we acquire property and when we have it targeted for use. So just wanted to offer that explanation as to why I will vote against this.
Yeah, I thought when we discussed this that we decided not to do it because there's no road to the property. And you got 4 properties on either side of it that's they're not developed or anything else. So I was just concerned for justification on doing that, how long we would hold the property, through there. So that was the only thing that I had. I thought we were going to do that.
The council action was to reject the private party. There was discussion about it, but so that was approved. So then the next step alternative would be for somebody to acquire it, and that'd be the city to pay the amounts that were noted in there, just under $5,000, $5,000. Yep. Sorry.
There's a limitation not to exceed any back taxes on the property.
So that's what the follow-up step is that's here.
What are we talking about on the tax?
$1,126, what we're talking about?
I thought that was a question, but I guess it was just a comment.
Yeah, sorry, we're looking it up.
Still thinking, huh?
Yeah.
You know, while they're getting that, I do want to say this is one of the tougher things, but in the long run, in this isolated case, I can support it.
I believe the back taxes on that were $3,745.
Right, and you may recall that the actual bid that was provided was $2,000. We think we can go back, even subtracting the amount that we owe, which is, or that we're owed, 900 and some change, and provide them a bid either 2,000 or less, and it makes sense for them to go ahead and accept that and move forward. Otherwise, there's no option on the property at this time. So we recommend, as we did previously, that we go ahead and move forward and purchase this property.
I want to thank staff for their effort on this. I know that's the direction you got. And it's my thought on this is independent of value. Are we going to take possession of a piece of property that we do not have plans for? If we were acquiring that and the surrounding lots to do something like a regional detention plan, and that was part of a master drainage plan, I would think differently. But if it's just speculation, again, independent of value, whether it's 2,000 or 200 or 2 million, I just don't think it's a good precedent for us as a city.
I think it's a lot of thought has gone into the decision to offer to purchase that particular piece of property for some very special reasons for development of that whole area there. Any other question or comment from council?
Mayor, just I made comments last time. I struggle as well when we're just turn down a bid and we're buying it just with no intentions of doing anything, and I feel like we're stepping all over the free market, and so that's going to be my no vote.
Okay. Any other comment? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, we do have motion second on the floor.
Councilmember Owens?
No.
Councilmember Carbone?
No.
Councilmember Moore?
No.
Councilmember Ordino?
Aye.
Councilmember Little?
Aye.
Councilmember Perez?
No.
Motion failed 4-2.
That part of our agenda tucked pretty neatly away. Let's move to item number 12, and I'll ask our city manager to pick up on this one and lead us through this process.
Thanks, sir. So the city has a hazard mitigation plan in place. As good practice and frankly a state requirement, we have to update that, I believe, every 5 years. Peter Martin, our new-ish emergency management coordinator, is going to say a couple words about this. We're putting this plan out for public comment. So,
Mr. Mayor, council members, good evening. I'm Peter Martin. I'm the Pearland Emergency Management Coordinator. I asked for time on your agenda this evening to make you aware of ongoing efforts to update the Pearland Hazard Mitigation Plan. As you may be aware, Council adopted the Pearland Hazard Mitigation Plan in 2004, and that plan has been periodically updated as required by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Texas Division of Emergency Management. In addition to being a prerequisite for federal mitigation grant funding, the Hazard Mitigation Plan also facilitates conscientious and periodic examination of natural hazards confronting the city and helps focus federal, state, and local efforts to mitigate those vulnerabilities. Natural hazards confronting the city have not changed significantly since the time the original plan was adopted, but the city has grown in size of its population as well as the size of its business community. And this is reflected in the plan update, as well as recent FEMA planning requirements, including such things as dam failure. If the council has any questions or specific questions regarding FEMA technical requirements for hazard mitigation planning, our hazard mitigation plan consultant is available to speak to prerequisites for FEMA plan approval. Additionally, mitigation action items carried forward from the 2012 plan have been updated and new mitigation action items have been added. If the council has any specific questions about future or past mitigation actions, the city's floodplain administrator is available to speak to those issues. Federal requirements also provide provisions for public participation in local hazard mitigation planning. In addition to notifying the council of intentions regarding the hazard mitigation plan update and the prospect of adopting a future plan update, this meeting coincides with commencement of a 30-day public comment period in which the public and interested stakeholders can provide input to the draft update before it's finalized. The hazard mitigation hazard mitigation plan update will be posted to the city's website and will be available for review in the office of the city secretary. Hard copy will also be provided to plan stakeholders upon request. Members of the public may comment on the plan update, and stakeholders may provide input in writing by mail addressed to myself. Alternatively, comments and input may be provided electronically via online link on the city's website. Once public comment period closes, staff will review public comments and stakeholder input and take those into consideration before the plan update is finalized. In the event that there is significant public interest, the city will convene a public meeting to reconcile public sentiments before the plan update is finalized and submitted to TDEM for FEMA approval. The public comment period is scheduled to close on May 24, 2018, and a public meeting is tentatively scheduled for June 6, 2018, here in the council chambers to address any public concern. Historically, there has been little public interest in hazard mitigation planning, and there was no interest in the 2010 plan update. So upon receipt of FEMA approval, the plan update will be presented to council for adoption, after which it will be valid for 5 years. At this time, gentlemen, if you have any questions, I would welcome those.
You know, for years, we had so much vacant land and not very many houses or people, so some of the hazards were sort of out of sight and remote from us, and a lot has changed over the years too. So I think it's appropriate that we go through the process and make it more relevant to where we are today, what the issues are that would affect our population, and I think what I have seen, that just glanced at some of the material, I think are quite impressive.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Council have any question or comment on that item? Councilor Perez?
Thank you, Mayor. So in response to some of the conversation we're having about the providing fire, EMS, and emergency response service to our ETJ area, as we develop this plan, are we considering additional hazmat or services like hazmat services and all that, things of that nature, extending that to our ETJ, or is that part of the services that we're going to transition out of our responsibility?
Thank you for the question. This plan strictly addresses natural hazards, not man-made hazmat, terrorism, or things of that nature.
So how do we coordinate at this point providing those services into the ETJ? We work as an interlocal with the counties. Does it factor at all into any of the emergency response that we'll be looking at transitioning away from the ETJ?
Councilman, we currently provide the same services in the city into the ETJ. For hazardous materials response, we rely primarily on the Harris County Fire Marshal's Office, which has the hazardous materials response team, and if they're tied up, we have an agreement with the Houston Fire Department to respond.
Thank
you. Any other question or comment at this point?
I'd just like to make a comment, Mayor. This is a very extensive hazard mitigation plan, and thank you to all involved who developed this. I've looked at some other hazard mitigation plans for other cities, and they're terrible. This one is very good. I'm glad that we got a lot of the Harvey information put in here, some of our findings and learnings from from the Harvey disaster we had. So it's good to see our learnings put in here, so we have something to go forth with next a next disaster that comes our way. So thank you all for putting this together.
Any other question or comment from council? Lady, you had any wrap-up comment on this item?
No, I mean, this is important, it's, it may seem very, bureaucratic, but it's an important piece to think about these things ahead of time and plan and get processes in place, and this is one element of that, so.
Appreciate the good work you've done on that, and we'll, when do you start the available to public review? Is it?
I expect we'll post the document to the website, the city website tomorrow, and we've put out public notice that it will be available. So we'll have a link online where the public can provide comment as well as stakeholder input for plan stakeholders. 30 days after that, we'll take a look at the comments and if necessary, convene a public meeting to reconcile public sentiments with the plan content, Mr. Mayor.
Do you plan public hearings, public meetings, not hearings, but public meetings, and so invite people to visit and talk about it as with charts or anything like that?
Yes, sir. If we get significant comment, we will convene a public meeting and we will air those comments and try and reconcile those.
As you go along?
Yes, sir.
So it'll be 30 days from the day, huh?
Yes, sir. So 24 May closes the public comment period.
Okay, good. Appreciate that. Council, any further comment, wrap-up comments on it? Hearing none, let us move then to, I'm sorry.
Mayor, once we close this item, I'd like to I guess, make a motion to reconsider item 11.
Item 11?
Yeah.
New business item 11?
Correct, the R
Let me go back to new
2018-81,
business
the
item
tax
11
sale.
here.
I'll second the motion to reconsider.
Okay. All right.
And,
See the purchase of a property?
yes, sir. And I didn't know it was going to fail because I didn't hear other opinions on council. I just wanted to take this opportunity before we adjourn to, I guess, give direction to staff or ask staff. So we've rejected a bid, and then we decided not to bid on it. So I guess where do we go from here? Because essentially we've rejected a bid that the other taxing jurisdictions would have received revenue off of. So maybe staff can fill us in on what the options are or what happens now.
We need some clarification on that. Okay.
Yeah.
They're working on it right now.
We'll notify the appraisal district tomorrow that we rejected, the council did not recommend our purchasing the property, and they will recontact the person who was interested in it. That person is still interested in the property.
And so then, assuming they are, which they may not be, but assuming they are, then we'll put this back on another agenda for your consideration.
Okay.
And I guess we would all hope that it would pass at that point. If not, we're just going to be stuck in this loop.
Yeah,
I mean,
what was explained to us before, if I remember correctly, was if we did not reject the bid, we lost the opportunity to purchase it. Now that we know that we do not want to purchase it, there's no value in rejecting the bid. And I was against purchasing the property, I was for rejecting the bid to allow the conversation to progress. But I don't think that there's any reason why we would reject it at this point, particularly if there's somebody who wants to buy it.
And just so council's aware, it takes a recommendation of approval by resolution from each governmental entity in order for it to be sold through the tax resale committee.
And we're the only holdout right now?
I don't know how the other taxing entities have voted on this. I think did we have a deadline, Cynthia? There was not a specific deadline, so I don't know what the recommendations from the other taxing entities would be at this time.
But that's really mute at this point because that offer is now dead because we rejected it.
That's true, but the offer could be reconsidered, have a recommendation from the tax sale committee and resale committee,
Right.
and it could be reconsidered by each entity again.
Right. The process has to start over. I assume they're going to have to go, whatever that process is.
Okay.
Look, the track can't be developed, so I don't think there's a real rush on anybody purchasing it right now. So if it's got to go through a longer process, and as long as we're willing to do our part, I don't think it's going to hurt anybody.
Well, in some areas, I think the people around it and the fact that it's not being maintained could be an issue, but yeah, it's-
Everybody's,
are we looking for action on?
And just to clarify, since there was a motion to reconsider and a second, technically, we need to dispose of the action once again for the.
Right, so we're voting on the original item again.
That is correct.
Correct.
We're voting to reconsider, or we're voting on the item again?
Voting on the item as presented.
Okay.
okay,
That's all I had, Mayor.
okay, good. I think it's good to make certain we feel comfortable and with a long drive home from here.
We need to vote.
Okay. We have a motion? And a second?
Yes.
Secretary, we have a motion second on the floor.
Councilmember Carbone?
No.
Councilmember Moore?
No.
Councilmember Ordino?
Aye.
Councilmember Little?
Aye.
Councilmember Perez?
No.
Councilmember Owens?
No.
Motion failed 4-2.
That sounds familiar. Any other comment on that item or any of the previous ones? Let us move down to item number 9, which is Mayor Council issues for future City Council agendas, and there were none proposed by our City Council. Next item is under other business, and there is none except to invite all of you to be sure and vote. It's important that we do get out and vote. You get one of these badges here for your lapel. And with that in place, I'll move down to item number 10, which will allow me to adjourn this council meeting at 7:54. And thank all of you for being here. It's not raining outside, so you'll have a safe drive home. Bless you.